welcome to Reading with Eve, and let's get on with a non-bookish video today. We're going to keep it nice and simple though. I'm going to tell you about my 13 favorite horror movies. This was actually harder than I anticipated because I love a lot of films, and I don't often think which ones would be like my top favorites, because ones I rewatch the most often aren't always the ones that I gravitate towards saying they're my favorites of all time. Usually that's for entertainment factor. But I really sat down and thought about it, and these might not be my most rewatched. Some of them are. Or these might not be like ones that I would claim are the best of the best, artistically, like, critically acclaimed, whatever, although again some of them are. But they just left an impact on me, and one way or another I think about them a lot of the time. And I will definitely rewatch some of them in this upcoming spooky season. It's October 6th by the time I'm filming this. And then by the time that I upload it, it will probably be like, I don't know, we'll see. Probably at least like mid-October. But it still applies. You know what? It's spooky season every year. All year. Who cares? So anyway, these are in no particular order, because it would be like trying to pick my favorite child. Although maybe the first one would kind of be like the top one, but at the same time, just because it's the top one for that genre doesn't mean it's... You see, I'm already... In no particular order, these are my 13 favorite horror movies. Number 1, Halloween 1978, directed by John Carpenter, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasence. This talks? Great start. This tells a story about Michael Myers, a young boy who, on the night of Halloween, stabs his sister to death for apparently no logical reason, and he is, as a 6-year-old, sent to a mental institution where he stays for 15 years. And on Halloween night 1978, he escapes, and he is ready to come back to his hometown Hannaffield. He just wants to do some slice and dice. He's ready. He has a craving for it that's been taken away from him for 15 years. Like, imagine if you really wanted some cheesecake and someone just locked it away from you for 15 years. You would want some damn cheesecake by the time that, you know, you unlock your access to said cheesecake. I don't know if it's a good analogy, but now I want cheesecake. You know, priorities. So anyway, it's easily my favorite slasher film of all time. That much I know. Is it my favorite horror film ever? I don't know. It's definitely, out of these 13, it's definitely in the top 3, because it's perfect in every way. It is one of the first films that formed what slasher subgenre is. It's one of the first films that redefined the entire trope of the final girl, the goody two-shoes virgin, friends of said girl who are too busy getting busy to notice that there's a killer standing 2 steps away from them. The score, the creepy stalkerish scares, is just fantastic. To think that half of the film takes time during daylight, and you see Michael Myers in the background just sort of leering over, watching these teenagers, and you know bad shit's about to happen. You know shit is gonna go down. It's not gonna yell timber, but it's gonna go. It's gonna be bad. And there's nothing you can do but sit back and watch and yell at these teens for being fucking stupid. And you love every second of it. I just adored the music in this. Like, the score is phenomenal. The acting, it might not be perfect, but it encapsulates the teenage cringe way they communicate, even though pretty much all of the actors look like they're 30, but that's just standard 70s, 80s for you. No one looks like they're young. I mean, talk about setting unrealistic expectations on not having to deal with acne when you're 17. Anyway, But yeah, it just talks about so many interesting things, and it rightfully deserves its place as the top crown jewel of the genre and of all horror, actually. And I think that these days, with how our generational understanding of horror shifts, and people want something more violent, something more in your face, the subtlety of this quiet dread that keeps building up as the teens get picked off one by one, it's very understated, but super effective. The fact that the only drop of blood that's shown in the whole film is in the opening sequence, and even then it's shown through this mask, because we observe Michael killing his sister through the slits of the eyes in the mask, and that's not a spoiler. It's literally the opening scene. That's the whole premise. Yeah, I mean, I don't stand behind the whole franchise. There are some installments in this franchise that I think are outright dreadful, but this film, I will stand on that hill that it's the best of the best. So that is Halloween. And in the slasher vein, to be fair, quite a few of these are slashers. I mean, I have a type. So the next one is I Know What You Did Last Summer, made in 1997, directed by... It wasn't Kevin Williamson who directed it, but he wrote the script. And I think someone called Gillespie directed it. I just forgot the first name. It stars Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ryan Phillippe, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr. I mean, talk about gathering just an A-list cast at the top of their prime. Like, that was just... I mean, come on. Perfection. And I'm sure that most fans know this, but Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. met on the set of this movie, and history was made. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I would be very surprised if they're not Hollywood's one of their most beloved couples. I mean, come on. So yeah, they met on the set of this film, even though, funnily enough, they don't actually share a proper line with each other, spoken to each other about anything. So yeah, that's kind of funny. But anyway, so this is about a group of teens, portrayed by the 4 actors that I mentioned, who are celebrating the 4th of July in their small fishing town. And they have all these plans for the future. They're gonna go away and do these amazing things with their lives. They're gonna go be successful actresses, successful lawyers, all of that. And it all goes away when they accidentally run over a man who is in the middle of the road during their celebrations. And they don't want to go to prison for this crime. So they decide to take it one step further. Like, if you're doing something wrong, do it right, is their motto. And they get rid of the guy's body in the sea. And let's just say they don't react to this really well. They don't handle that really well, and the group is all fractured. A year later, Julie, our main character, she's set up as the final girl because she's the only one with a conscience, really, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt. She comes back and meets everyone else as they all start getting threatening notes saying, I know what you did last summer. And this one, I will talk about another movie of Kevin Williamson's that he wrote, and this film was only a result of the other film taken off so successfully, because the script for this film sat in his drafts for like years because no one wanted it. This one plays the slasher trope pretty much like straightforward, except that it's more updated for the new generation. But I just think it's pretty fantastic. Like, it deserves its cult classic status because you have atmosphere is immaculate. Like, there's no other way to describe it, because this small fishing town, it's so open, but it feels suffocating because of the guilt these characters are experiencing, and this guilt manifests in all of different ways. But it shows even in the way that they're styled, the way that their makeup and hair look. They are shells of their former selves. Even the guy who claims that he doesn't care is also experiencing some, reactions to things. And the suspense, again, they actually had to put in a kill because the distributor said there aren't enough kills in the film, so they had to like think of an extra kill. If you haven't seen the film, I'm not going to spoil who or when exactly, but it definitely builds up, again, that sense of dread, because you know that these teens, they're getting roasted, and not in a today's slang kind of way. They're actually going to be roasted on a barbecue or something equally as painful, because whoever's after them, they're relentless and they're gonna get what they want. I mean, again, one of the best chase scenes, if not the best chase scene in the entire horror history. I mean, I have no words for that. It's perfect in every way. I mean, honestly, no notes for me. It's a classic for me. It's one of the first horror films I've ever seen. It was actually the very first movie that I watched together with my now fiance, so that was fun. I just love it, and I will always love it, and it's amazing. And I rewatched it recently because I went to see the new one in the cinemas. Let's not talk about that one, but well, it wasn't as bad as I thought. This is about a favorite. It's not. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I rewatched it a couple months ago to prepare for that, but I'm probably gonna watch it again. Just because, why the hell not? I mean, it is that time of year. So that's that one. And then, what do we have? We have The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick, starring Jack Nicholson and the late Shelley Duvall, made in 1980. And I know all the mixed reviews that, to this day, haunt this film. A lot of people say that it's absolute trash because it's nothing like the book, but you know what? To me, the book and the movie are gotta go our own way from the High School Musical. It's two interpretations of the same story, and I prefer the movie. I know, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. I know nothing about horror, apparently. Whatever. I prefer the film. Anyway, so if you don't know what this is about, we have a family. Mother, son, father, the Torrances. The dad, Jack, he gets a job to look after a hotel during the winter season because it's closed and someone needs to be there to maintain the boiler and just check that everything is okay. But that involves being pretty much completely cut off from society for 5 months. And of course, as much as we these days say that we would love to run away from everyone's shit and hide out in, I don't know where, somewhere super secluded for like ever, so we don't have to talk to anyone. As much as we say that, and as much as a good long weekend for that would probably do good for a lot of people, including myself, we wouldn't like to be separated completely from everyone for months on end. After all, we're not wired that way. So naturally, the family doesn't handle it well, but it doesn't help that the hotel is also haunted. Of course, I mean, why wouldn't it be? That's just how it is, right? So, I mean, again, to me, this is nearly a perfect film. Again, the score so unsettling, and the cinematography, it's just so precise, and the hotel's design and the scares and everything. I feel like while the book was a really good sort of supernatural suspense with almost like family drama elements that developed the characters a bit more, the film was just pure horror. Like, a lot of the stuff that is in the film that actually creeped me the fuck out was not in the book. And I watched this when I was 12, which was parental supervision, but I watched it in clips on YouTube, and I didn't understand English super well at the time, so a lot of the time I was like, I don't quite understand what's going on, but I just know that I'm scared, but in a fun way, because I kept watching. And yeah, it was just, I just loved it so much, and I just had so many, like, I just feel like it's the sort of film that you can interpret it in like quite a few different ways, and you will still be correct, because me and my dad and I, that's the one, we still discuss to this day, because he insists that there's no supernatural happenings at the hotel. And it's all just Jack losing his marbles because he hates his family and resents them, and he was cooped up with them for too long. And I say otherwise. But ultimately, you know what? Just do what you want. Think about whatever the hell you want. You know, you won't be wrong, because I feel like certain things about the film are left ambiguous enough for you to just, you know, think about how you want to think about it. But ultimately, I mean, the atmosphere, the isolation, the music, all the pacing. I mean, it's 2 hours, but it doesn't feel like 2 hours. And you know, when you watch a film that is 2+ hours, sometimes you feel every single minute and you're just like, can this just be over now, please? Because I'm bored. A lot of people said that Jack Nicholson was not right for the role because he just, from his very first scene, he already looks crazy. And that is not untrue. I would say that that criticism is valid, but at the same time, he just plays a crazy man so well that I can't imagine anyone else in the role. And Shelley Duvall was also amazing, no matter what the critics back then said. But one thing I will say is that she did not deserve any of the treatment that she received from Stanley Kubrick at the time. And, you know, anyone who okayed that should be ashamed of themselves. But unfortunately, ethical coordinators and all of that stuff weren't really a thing back then. So it was a lot easier for directors to get away with this crap. But yeah, the film is pretty much perfect for me as well. So yeah, I guess in a way I described my top 3, but let's keep talking. So my fourth one is Shaun of the Dead, directed by Edgar Wright, that's the one, and starring Simon Pegg. And I know the names of the others, but I can't recall them on top of my head. But it's easily the best horror comedy I've ever seen. It is the most British thing ever, but I feel like it also is kind of accessible enough for non-British people to understand it and appreciate the funniness of it. But you have Shaun, who is just floating around in life, kind of walking through like a zombie, you know. His girlfriend is disappointed because his idea of a romantic date is to bring her to a local pub with his friends. Enough said, right? And he is stuck at the same dead-end job. Like, he doesn't like his stepdad. It's just very... But then one day, zombie apocalypse starts. And he is the one to kind of take it into his own hands to protect his loved ones. And it just all ensues from there. It is, like I said, it's one of the funniest things that I've ever seen. It is a great representation of British culture without going into too much of a archetype cliche. It really tugs your heartstrings because it's not just funny, but when it gets serious, it is really serious, and it's better than some of like films who are taking themselves so seriously, who are trying to be like, oh my god, look, we're so pretentious and we're so, again, serious. But this does it so organically, and Simon Pegg is absolutely amazing in it. I mean, everyone is really amazing in it. And the soundtrack is fantastic. I mean, Queen's moment, enough said. It's just, again, I love it so much. And I'm probably going to rewatch it again, even though I've seen it relatively recently. But, you know, I have no self-control, apparently. So, yeah, I mean, if somehow you haven't seen it yet, you should. And it's wild that I didn't know it existed until I moved to Britain. I saw a vague reference to it in Scream 4, and I didn't realize that was, when I watched it, I didn't realize that was a real film. I just thought it was one of those fake prop films made specifically for a movie, which, by the way, it has happened. Home Alone, hello? That should have been a real movie. The Angels with Dirty Souls, whatever it was called. Why wasn't this made? It would have been an amazing marketing tactic. Anyway, so that's that one. And then we have It Follows, which is was made in 2014. And I'm sorry, but I forgot who directed it. But it is supernatural horror. I think that's the way to describe it. It's basically about our main character who she sleeps with the guy, and she finds out that doing so gave her, I don't know, a disease. Well, people said it is. Again, you can interpret it how you want. This film is very open to all sorts of interpretation. But basically, she has a demon, some sort of entity that is now chasing her slowly. They're just taking a stroll, you know, like an old lady. I mean, it literally can look like anyone so chooses to be an old lady for a while. But this entity, whenever it catches up with you, and eventually will, bam, dead, boom, kaboom. Of course, I mean, duh. So obviously our main character then tries to outsmart this entity and escape from it throughout the whole movie with the help of her friends. And whoever did the cinematography, I need to hire them personally to direct my life, because how absolutely gorgeous. I mean, come on. I hope that person got hired for many other projects. But the cinematography, the pacing, just that sort of feel to it. It's very ominous, creepy, but also very subtle and sort of apathetic, which is a really nice contrast. And again, it opens up a lot of theories as to, you know, what is this entity? What is it meant to represent? Or is it just that simple of, oh, there's this bad demon thing trying to kill you, you know, it can't be that simple. And the dynamics between the friends are fun to watch. So yeah, really, I mean, with this one, I don't think that I'm saying anything new, because it is probably one of the most critically acclaimed horror films of the past, like, decade something. So with some stuff that is popular and well talked about and highly acclaimed, it is worth it. It is worth that hype. So, what are you doing, mister? Come here. Come here, you. So, definitely check that one out if you haven't seen it. And then I have X. What is the TJ West or something? Sorry, I probably should have written the names of these directors, but I didn't want it to sound too scripted. But it is a movie made in 2022, starring Mia Goth, Brittany Snow, and someone else that I keep forgetting. But it is about a group of people in the 70s who go to this small farm building that they rented out from this elderly couple to make a erotic movie. And they don't shy away from showing it as well. Like, a good quarter of this film is softcore porn. Which, I was like, well, I'm just gonna put that on the list of films to never watch with my parents ever. Like, ever. But once the killing starts, it is glorious horror goodness. But it is easily one of the best slasher films of the past, like, 10, 15 years. It has the suspense, it has some raw acting that really pays homage to 70s, 80s slasher movies where the acting was not always great, more so than not. And it has some really creative kills, and it's just glorious, honestly. I mean, I have feelings about that series as like a trilogy, but overall, X is definitely the best one. Come on, go. So I think we're on film 7 now, so we're halfway through. But then the next one is Scream. And I would say that is definitely a film that grew on me the most, because I first watched it and was like, this is what everyone's talking about, but then I grew to appreciate its brilliance. So I'm just talking about the first one here. Although, I do really love the fourth one a lot. That's easily my like second favorite. But the Scream follows Sidney Prescott, whose mother has been brutally murdered the year before the film takes place. Oh, and I'm sure most of you know, but it is made in 1996 and directed by Wes Craven with a script by Kevin Williamson. Again, the film that I talked about earlier on. Because this film happened, I know what she did last summer. That's the reason it exists. So she starts getting targeted by this ghost face who is killing her fellow teens in her school. And it's definitely it is scary in a more realistic way. I personally don't find it like terrifying in the sense that I find like a lot of other slasher films or horror films, but I find the sort of sense of dread thinking, this is the sort of shit that happens in real life all the time, and it could easily happen to anyone. And Sidney Prescott is one of the most, if not the most developed final girls, or just like any characters in horror cinema or cinema in general. Not to mention that overall the amazing cast of Rose McGowan, Skeet Ulrich, Matthew Lillard, David Arquette, Courtney Cox, hello, like all of this cast that, to be fair, I'm pretty sure that a lot of them took off because of this film, but regardless, it's the case of just amazing script writing and direction. I've not even touched upon the whole subversive horror tropes. I mean, it's so clever, it's so witty, and it's just so almost like satirical while still making sense as its own story. It's not just making fun of things for the sake of it. It still manages to really trick you into showing why certain horror tropes exist the way that they are and why they're written a certain way. And I just think that is some really amazing artistry. And I would arguably say, I'm not speaking about the whole franchise here, because I do have some that I don't enjoy myself personally, but overall, objectively speaking, Scream is probably the slasher franchise, and most of the horror franchises included actually, that maintains its quality as sequels are being released. Because even the worst of the sequels, objectively, they're still better than a lot of horror that's come out in the past like 20 years or so. So kudos for consistency. Now, let me check what I got. Okay, so the next film is Carrie, directed by Brian De Palma, starring Sissy Spacek, and based on Stephen King's first ever published novel. Carrie is really every ostracized, bullied kid's revenge fantasy, and it executes that perfectly. Carrie White is a school social piranha. She's an outcast, and that is due to her being raised by this super religious mother. I mean, if you thought that your parents are controlling, you've not met Carrie White's mother. And I mean, I can't imagine. So she has no safe space at school and then no safe space at home. That's a pretty shitty life. So the story starts when she gets her period in the shower during like changing after PE at school. And because of her mother and her upbringing, she doesn't know what a period is. And she is, again, a laughingstock of all the girls from school. And she discovers that, I guess what we're meant to think that this happening to her, like her hormones and stuff triggered this. She discovers that she has telekinetic powers. And when one of the most popular guys at school asks to take her to prom, she thinks that maybe this is like a turning point for her. She has like these powers now. She maybe she will get some friends and you actually experience adolescence and proper chance at a nice life as a teenage girl. But it is not to be the case, because the school bully really doesn't like being told that she can't have something. and she takes it out on Carrie in the most brutal way that leads to disastrous consequences. I mean, even if someone hasn't seen the film, they know of Carrie. It's basically a pop culture moment. It is masterfully done. It is really morally complex. As much as you root for Carrie, you know that what she's doing and what she ends up doing is wrong. And yet you can't help but think you go girly. And there's just so many things to this story that it was written so long ago, like 50 years ago. There was a 50th anniversary release of the book. So for a fact, it was written 50 years ago. But it feels like such a timeless thing that it resonates today, because it's about a human experience. It's about how cruel teenagers can be. It's about how cruel your family can be. It's about feeling like a monster and then becoming one because people treat you like one and they create said monster. Self-fulfilling prophecy. I can't believe that he was gonna throw that story away. Thank God for his wife, who was like, you publish this. She started an empire. But yeah, it's the book itself, King acknowledged that the movie handled some things better from a cinematic POV, and I agree with that. But obviously without the book there would be no film. And yeah, the film is fantastic. It's just right, honestly. And I always love rewatching it, even if it's so triggering at points because of all the bullying and stuff, but it's totally worth your time. So that's that one. The last slasher on this list is A Nightmare on Elm Street, directed by Wes Craven, starring Robert... Sorry, I keep forgetting the last name. It starts with an E, but honestly, I'm the worst, but really should have written these down. I feel, again, this is another cultural moment, even if you've not seen the movie for some reason, but it is about Freddy Krueger, a convicted criminal, child murderer, who got out of a technicality, like just some shoddy police evidence placing, whatever, and the parents in the neighborhood took matters into their own hands, and he somehow got trapped in this, I don't know, something happened. The movie never fully goes into all of those logistics, but that's fine. He lives on and targets the kids of these parents as they grow up into teenagers, and he can get them in their sleep. Which, I mean, come on, we all have to sleep as humans. I mean, we've never fully figured out why from a scientific POV, but we have to sleep. And I know when I need to sleep, I am cranky as fuck. So I could not imagine not being able to go to sleep because some bastard who's wearing Christmas colors is looking forward to slicing me open. Like, that would really ruin my day. And night. And, well, life. So, you know, not great, but it would definitely revitalize the slasher subgenre back in the 80s in a certain way, because you had Jason, you had Michael Myers, and, like, Leatherface and all that. They were all mute. They seemed to have, like, whatever was driving them to kill, but they didn't seem to have, like, a clear motive, and they didn't really seem to toy with their victims much. It's more so, I'm just taking a walk. You know, I'm just taking my super menacing looking walk with my, like, big frame. Oh, look, there's a dumb teenager. You die. Nothing personal. I just gotta roll how I gotta roll. Like, I have this kill quota I need to fill for my yearly evaluation. And, you know, it's just that. But then with Freddy, it became kind of like a norm. It became kind of like a norm or a new way of approach for the killer to toy with his victims, to manipulate them, to make sassy remarks, to just be a general creep, which makes sense considering who Freddy was in his lifetime. So it was something different, and it was something that the genre needed at the moment. Again, I don't stand with the whole franchise because it gets very, very excessive and insane. But the first one, gold star. Of course, that's why it's on this list. Love it. Amazing. Great time. So, the last of few, I have Dawn of the Dead remake, made in 2004. Forgot who directed it again, but it is about a group of people who get trapped inside a massive shopping mall during a zombie apocalypse. And this one, it was one of the first zombie films that I've seen, and it left an impression on me because I thought it's genuinely one of probably the best remakes, because I watched the original and it didn't leave me the same. I don't know, maybe because I saw it first, the remake I mean, but either way, I was loving this one because I just thought it had all the right amounts of gore. It had interesting character dynamics. It actually let us spend some time with the characters before they started making stupid decisions that would get them all killed. It had a fun soundtrack, the setting, the action, suspense, like all of that. Really good time. And it's been a while since I rewatched it, which I probably should do because, again, it's just good fun. Like, zombie films aren't my top genre, but this one I thought it was really well done. Definitely one of the best remakes that I've seen, because usually I'm quite harsh on those things because who needs that, but sometimes it could come in handy, especially because with zombies, like, it's a lot of gore and like flesh horror, like body parts and everything, and I think sometimes having a bit of a technological advantage could be useful. But you know, the other part of that is relying too heavily on CGI, but thankfully this film did not fall under that umbrella. Then I have Ghost Ship, made in 2002, starring Desmond Harrington, among the ones that I can remember. You know him from Gossip Girl and Dexter. This is about a group of, I guess, kind of scavengers who discover a ship that has been floating on the sea, abandoned for decades, and they decide to take things from it, you know, claim it as their treasure. Except that, of course, the ship is haunted. Why wouldn't it be? You know, we should just assume that everything's haunted and leave it at that. So this one, I'm pretty sure that the reviews actually said that it was like a mix between the Titanic and The Shining, and that it was a ripoff. And there are some scenes that I'm like, yep, I can see what they mean. But you know what? I just thought that we still, to this day, don't have many films that are set, like especially horror films that are set on ships, which I understand. It's a bit of a logistical thing to film. I mean, I doubt anyone would actually go into the sea on a ship to film a movie. Maybe that's a bit too authentic. But at the same time, even like making a set and all that, it can be a bit tricky. But I thought that one was just, it's a pure guilty pleasure. It's one of those that I wouldn't claim as a classic or anything. It's just super good fun, even if it gets a bit predictable towards the end. But that opening scene, the opening scene of that movie, I'm not saying anything new here, but people have regarded it as one of the best horror opening scenes of the genre's history. That scene, if you're watching this film for nothing else, you have to watch it for that. Because my jaw was on the floor. And if you know, you know. Lots of jaws were on the floor in that scene. Yeah. So that is that one. Just a good time. Can't complain. Then I have the last couple. So another one that is just a mindless good time is Eight-Legged Freaks, made in 2002. It is a horror comedy about giant spiders who get that way unnaturally through a kind of like toxic waste, and they wreak havoc on a small town in Arizona, I believe. And it stars Scarlett Johansson as a baby in one of her first ever roles. Well, she's a teenager, but you get what I mean. Like, she's super young, still getting into groove with her craft, but she is really good in this film. And also David Arquette is in this. It's just, again, it's a perfect example of a film that doesn't take itself too seriously, and the spiders look fake as hell because of CGI, but it's just such good fun, and I always have such a good time watching it. It pokes fun at some horror tropes, and it's just, again, it's a nice fun time. I have no complaints. It's the one film that I can't watch with my fiance though, because he's not a fan of spiders, even if they're very fake looking, and I can't do that to him. So that's definitely gonna be a rewatch just for me. But yeah, it's just good, mindless fun that surprisingly has heart to it. So that's that one. And then I have, technically this is more of a thriller, but I was thinking to myself that I wanted to include something that kind of is an underrated one, to try to bring it to the surface a bit. And that is The Hole, made in 2001. Starring, again, Desmond Harekton. He always pops up somewhere, it seems. Thora Birch, Keira Knightley, and I don't remember the actress's name, but the Miss Honey from Matilda. And it is actually one of the first Keira Knightley film roles. It is about a group of teens who go have a party in this World War II bunker, basically, that is just in the middle of the woods, not far from their boarding school. It's like prep, rich people boarding school, think like British Gossip Girl vibes sort of thing. I tie everything back to Gossip Girl, obviously, which is just, that's just who I am. Allow that, please. And when the film starts, one of the girls, Liz, she is found in the school all bloody, dirty, looks like she's been assaulted, and she tells the therapist who is assigned to her what happened, basically. And that's how we find out that these teens had this party in that bunker, but only this girl came back. And it's like, huh? What happened exactly? The trailers do it a bit of a injustice, that's the word, sorry. Because they advertise it as like a creature feature, there's something in the tunnel sort of thing. It's definitely not that. It is a lot more psychological. It is a lot more a bit of a mindfuck, so to speak. It actually has some interesting commentary, I would say, about how shoddy police work can be when they zero in on one suspect and refuse to consider other possibilities. How some people just don't want to take accountability for anything in their lives ever, and things that they're willing to do to cover everything up and not deal with it. Just lots of things about the human psyche and stuff. So it's definitely more of a thriller, but I'm lumping it in together because I think it just deserves more recognition. But yeah, I believe that is it. But let me double check. So I can confirm that that was 13. I lost count because I had to go check something downstairs, and that derailed my thought process. But yeah, so these are 13 horror films that I can easily say they're my favorites. Maybe as the years go and some of my opinions change, some of these kind of like fall out of it, some other things come in, but as it stands now, when I thought of like what would be my 13 favorites that I would recommend to people for one reason or another, these would be the ones. Some of them, like I said, they're just guilty pleasure, although there should be no such thing. Some of these I genuinely believe they are perfect artistry that will stand the test of time, and they have. So yeah, I just love them. If you've watched any of them and you would like to comment your opinion, please do so. I love to have a good discussion. If you have any recommendations, do send them my way, because I'm always looking for new favorites that I haven't seen. But it's getting difficult. It's getting hard to find films that I haven't seen, especially horror. I don't really like anything that's too gory, or like, you know, the R&R films, like the exploitation one. Like, I'm not into that. Like, anything like super horror that like delves into like all the guts and all the disgusting stuff that's super prolonged and all that. Like, I'm not into that. To be fair, I think that pretty much sums up what I'm not a fan of. Like, anything too extreme. But overall, I'm always open for recommendations. If it's set in the 90s or like early 2000s, chances are if you find something that I haven't seen and recommend it to me and I love it, then I will love you forever. You know, bring it on. I want to hear some movies. But yeah, I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you next time.